Hi, this is Darswell Rogers. Welcome to video 3 on valuing and reprioritizing your time. In this video, you will learn exactly how to value an hour of your time. And once you understand what an hour of your time is worth, you will be in a position to reprioritize the sort of work you do to maximize that valuable hour. And so let's get started. We're talking about value in your time, and there's a very simple question, which is how can you value your time if you don't know what it's worth? And so that's what we're going to address right here. And I'm going to start by giving you a really simple example. You see, the perceived value impacts your behavior. And this is a simple example. Let's assume that you ordered a pizza, and this looks like a delicious pizza, fresh ingredients. And you decided that you'd like to have something to drink with the pizza. And you basically have two choices. One of them is a nice Pinot Grigio wine, and the second one is a bottle of very expensive champagne. The bottle of wine has a value of $15. The champagne, Dom Perignon, has a value of $189. Now, it's probably a $12 pizza, $14 pizza, could even be a $20 pizza. Which wine are you going to have with the pizza? The $15 or the $189? Most people will say, I'm going to have the $15 wine with my pizza, and I'm going to save the champagne for another occasion because your perceived value of that champagne impacts your behavior. Your behavior says, I save that for something more meaningful to me than having pizza. That's a very simple example of what I mean by how understanding value impacts behavior. And so now let's take this to a business example. Okay, so from here to the end of the video, we're going to actually walk through how to calculate an hour of time. And we're going to use this handsome guy right here as our example. I want you to meet Dimitri Smithson. He's the CEO of the online retailer D&J Direct. They sell specialty items. D&J Direct is an extraordinarily fast-growing company, having gone from zero to $2 million in revenue in merely 18 months. That is, by definition, fast-growing. Now, this is simply an example. In your case, your business may not be growing this fast. In your case, your business may have flat revenue year over year. It doesn't matter what the details are in that regard. The analysis that I'm going to take you through will apply to any business. Now, D&J Direct is a family-owned business. It was run kind of like a mom and pop, and because of the fact that it was a mom and pop or family-run business, and it's growing so fast, they recognized that they needed to professionalize the management of the organization, and so therefore they brought in an experienced CEO. Okay, so Dimitri has been on the job now for 30 days, and simply put, by his own admission, he is really struggling. And it's because he's bogged down in a bunch of minutia, a bunch of detail that really has nothing to do with being the chief executive officer. He's actually doing the payroll for the employees. He's doing some of the bookkeeping. He doesn't have any administrative support. So things like setting appointments, figuring out and improving expense reports, doing typing, all that sort of stuff is literally things that as the CEO, he is doing. And so what he realizes, and this is because of his experience of running organizations, that he needs to get control over his time. And so right now, Dimitri's going to go through an exercise of figuring out what an hour of his time is worth so that he can begin to make better decisions. And so this particular next few slides is in your notebook. uh, so you can feel free to take a look at this and go through this with us, because we're going to calculate the value of an hour of Dimitri's time. We're going to use as the initial or the first number to be considered is revenue. And we're going to use revenue because as the CEO, he's responsible for the entire organization. Now, if you're responsible for a division, then you take the division's revenue. If you have a sales team, you would take the gross revenue that your sales team provides or generates for the company. If you're a salesperson, it's not your salary, but it is the total revenue that you bring to the company. If you run a cost center of a business, then you would say, what are the total costs associated with the work I do? That could be materials, employee costs, and the like. At the end of the day, you need some sort of gross number that you can use as a key part of this calculation. The second question is, how many days do you work in a year? Dimitri, based on his 30 days of working there so far and being a retailer, has concluded he's likely to work 6 days a week. And so that translates into working 300 days out of a 12-month period. So 300 or 360 days in a given year, Dimitri estimates that he will be working. Next, we have to figure out what's the average number of hours that Dimitri will work in one of those typical days. Now, some days he may work 12, 14, 16 hours, and then other days he may work 2, 4, or 6 hours. At the end of the day, he says it averages out to 10. So now we've got to do some simple math. Dimitri indicates that he's expecting to work 300 days, and he's going to work 10 hours per day. So 300 days times 10 hours is 3,000 hours. So Dimitri has concluded that he will work over a 12-month period 3,000 hours. We now have all the information necessary to figure out his effective hourly rate. We now have all the information necessary to calculate the effective hourly rate. If you recall, the company generates $2 million in revenue, and Dimitri estimates he'll work 3,000 hours. So you take 2 million divided by 3,000, and you end up with $667.67. What we're saying here in very broad terms is that an hour of Dimitri's time is worth more than 600 hours. He's the CEO. There's absolutely nothing unusual about that sort of calculation. It'll be very important in terms of our analysis going forward. Now, let me quickly summarize. I know I did that relatively quickly, and you have this information in your notebook, but here's how we got to the numbers. Revenue of $2 million per year. Days work, 300 days per year. Average hours worked per day, 10 hours on the average day. You take 300 days times 10 hours per day, that gets you 3,000 hours per year that Dimitri expects to work. You divide that by the revenue. So $2 million in revenue, 3,000 hours of work equals $667 per hour. That's the value of an hour of his time. That's a great number, $667 per hour. That's placing real value on what he does. Now, at this point, we're coming to the end of this video. I need you to stop. Don't read any further. Don't review anything else. I need you to complete this exercise for your organization. If there's something you don't understand, obviously go back, hear the video again. But ultimately, before you go to the next video, what we want you to do is to have a number, which is your effective hourly rate. In the next lesson, in the next video, what we're going to cover is how to analyze your results and apply them to your current business. We're going to continue to use Dimitri as an example, but you'll be able to apply the concepts once you have your effective hourly rate to your business. And so now it's time to go back, calculate your effective hourly rate, and we will see you in the next lesson.